Well, welcome to See, Hear, Love, and can you believe it's our last show of the season, season 4?
Oh,
welcome. It's sort of like a welcome and then goodbye in a way, or see you again. Yeah, you don't say goodbye. See you soon. Well, we've come a long way, and I guess I want to know from you, especially because we've got 2 that were right from the beginning when this was just a web show.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Your highest points, your biggest learning, and then we're gonna get to you too, because you're here for just for season 4. Yeah, you're newbies.
We're rookies.
All right, Joanna. Since the beginning.
I remember when we first walked onto the original set, it was this kitchen and everything was new. We didn't even know each other at all, really. We were just becoming friends. And there was just so much anticipation about what would happen. And now to look back, that feels like a lifetime ago in many ways. And even just like, I feel in myself, like, how we've been joking kind of about, like, I remember in the first season, I was concentrating so hard on what everybody was saying that I had this scrunched up
resting face, people.
I had scrunch up face all the time, trying to focus on everybody. And now it's a little bit easier. You get into a rhythm, and it's just been so fun to be part of it.
Yeah. Amazing. Cheryl, you were from the beginning too.
From the beginning too. I'm going to take it back further. I remember I was sitting with you having lunch and you were sharing your dream. You were sharing what God had laid on your heart. And I think I just want to talk about how exciting it is to see someone's dream come to pass, but to be sisters supporting and surrounding and pushing you forward in that dream. I've watched it just evolve. And I love the fact that honesty and authentic. We were bawling. It's not
all of us.
Well, okay, I was
some of us were.
But we were honest. We were authentic, and we were like, I messed up, and this, like, we were just like here, and people gravitated to it. And so for me, authenticity that's what they want.
Amazing.
It's good.
All right, to the newbies, season 4. Your thoughts for the season?
I quickly learned that one of my highlights when we tape is checking out what nails Cheryl has. But
and today you're not wearing the nails.
I bring the heat.
I love how the ordained minister all throughout the season's all about Jesus and the Bible, and then when it comes to high, it's like nails. All right, okay.
Well, my serious high is that it's great to know that people are encouraged.
Yes.
That's always is wonderful to know that you can actually, in the frailness and the brokenness and just the conversations we have, people have written back, and that's like, it is worth it.
Yes. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I mean, I'm still learning the face thing, Joanne. you get so into what someone's saying, you're just like, yes. And then you look back and you're like, was I gonna cry? Like, you just, but yeah, I think a high on the show so far was when Sheila Walsh came onto the show and shared about her book, It's Okay Not to Be Okay, and we all had to read that book, and we were given it as a gift, and I read that book like 3 times, and I loved it so much that it actually changed my life. It taught me in the season of my life as like a worship leader, a recording artist, like I make records, I do my thing. And I was just so encouraged by this phrase of it's okay not to be okay and to do it afraid. And so from that episode alone, that whole, like the whole trajectory of my life was just like, has changed.
Wow.
And I just feel like I'm stepping into things that God wants me to step into.
So it's not just for others, it's for us.
That's so good.
Yeah.
When I think back to the beginning of season 4, it was a big season for us because we moved out of a very small studio and kitchen to an actual set.
Right.
And we actually started at Tyndale in front of these students.
Then
we went to this, remember we went to an Airbnb
I remember that,
by the lake, in Burlington. And then we came to the studio. And I remember the night before I came and I was praying over it and I was crying because it was just a reminder of God's goodness. You are faithful and you work hard and a dream came to fruition. I actually stood here and I was like, dreams can come true, really. And God was in it. And so, yes, I do the hard work, but it's all thanks to God. And to you. I mean, you couldn't do a show without women's voices that are connecting all over the world. You've got different fans. People are like, I resonate with Joanna, I resonate, with Lisa, Cheryl, Brooke, and so thank you. It has been a great season. And to see people all over the world writing us and saying, you encouraged us, we're watching in South Korea, we're watching in Romania, we're watching in Australia, and you're helping us in our journey in knowing Jesus and in growing deeper in relationship with Him. So it's amazing, and thank you. Great season 4.
So
Can you believe that?
It's been great.
Wow. Well, we might as well finish this season with a bang, with a big question. And it came out of a dinner party I was having with my girlfriends who are quite influential and successful in media and humanitarian work. And we were like weary though. We're like, yeah, we're leaders, but we're weary. And the question came up, should we do it all? Like, should we be doing it at this pace? And how long can we do it? Is this sustainable? And so I started thinking about it and said, I want to bring it to us. Because I think that's a question a lot of women are asking. Like, can we do it all? Should we do it all? How do you do it all? And if you don't do it all, are you a failure? And those are some of the words that came up. So I'm throwing it out to you so that you can help my girlfriends at my next dinner party be encouraged, because that's actually a real question that came up. So who would like to dive in and start that to say, can we do it all? Should we do it all? And if so, how do you do it?
Well, I think can and should are two different meanings.
Yeah.
Can we do it all? Yeah. Like, God built us uniquely as women to do a lot of things. But from experience, like, should we do it all? I don't think so. I think, I say from experience of you don't want to burn yourself out. And you don't want to operate from a place of weariness.
Yeah.
You want to lead with strength and from a place of rest. And so I think, we can do lots of things, don't get me wrong, but I think just pacing yourself and not having that mentality like, I have to do everything.
Right.
Because I think you will drop the ball and I think you'll burn yourself out.
Yeah.
I think
That's
I've
good.
understood the question a little bit differently, because when you said, can we do it all? I'm like, no. Should we do it all? No.
Yes.
No.
Do I want to do it all? No.
And I'm like, yes.
Because I think for can you do it all, you have to understand that as you get older, there are choices that you make. You can't have every house on the block. You can't marry every guy. There are things that...
Yes? Oh, no, he's kidding.
So, and I think about myself. I'm so grateful for those people who are in research and hard science, because I don't want to do that. I appreciate it. I think there's a lot of beauty and creativity, but I don't want to do that. I can't do that,
Right.
not to the degree that they can. I don't think we should. And so I think there was a different understanding of how you posed that question for me.
Well, I think for them, they were saying, we're moms, we're CEOs, we're trying to be, the best friend of all my girlfriends, plus, live out our passions and dreams as an artist. And it feels like it just isn't working. That was sort of where it sort of came up, and we were like,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
for me as a single person, I think particularly in church, I feel some pressure to do more in ministry life because of being a single person. And some of that is scriptural, that it says in scripture, if you can be single because it gives your full life to devote to the Lord. But if you're married, your focus is sort of shifted, where it's partly on what God has for you and it's partly on what your family needs. And I feel then as a single person, okay, then I have to do it all. I can do it all, I can do it. And then actually right now, the Lord this spring has really taken me through a personal experience of Sabbath. Where I felt, it's a longer story, but I basically felt very convicted about the lack of rest in my life, and him saying, I want to do these things in your life and open some doors for you in your life, but you're so tired, it wouldn't be kind of me to give that to you right now, because I'm a good father, I love you. I can't give that stuff to you that you're asking for, because you're exhausted.
Burning out.
Yeah.
And so I've recognized, we have all these 10 commandments, like don't murder, don't commit adultery, and there's this one that we kind of take as a suggestion, which is take a day off every week. And so I've been really convicted by that personally. I've been trying to say I can't do it all. I need to also rest, and so that I can work and live out of a healthier place, and as a person, a human being, not a human doing.
That's good. Yeah, the Sabbath, yeah.
This is why I love the show, because I'm totally opposite to her. Can we do it all? Yes. Should we do it all? Yes. Here's the fine print. Define all.
See, that's my thing.
For
too.
me, if the all is all that God has called me to do, then yes.
Yes, amen.
And because God is, I find that the Lord moves in seasons. He has throughout biblical times. You could see God has seasons for things. And so he will never take us to a place of overwhelming, burnout. And so I find that those things, if I'm going in God's rhythm, there's seasons. He'll shut a door, that kind of peters out, something else springs up. But the all is not, I'm gonna do a comedic tour across LA.
Really? That'd be so fun.
Yeah, funny.
But you know what? I absolutely agree. It was interesting as I was asking this question across Canada, different people and just with friends. A lot of times they're saying the same things you are. All of you are saying. But the other thing they're saying is that, in some seasons, you're going to be focused more on work and family. Your husband and partner need to kind of step up. the other thing they said is you can't do it all. That's why you need girlfriends. So like I'm not a good baker, cook, sewer, clean. I'm not a lot of things. And so I actually look to a lot of my girlfriends to kind of help me in these areas, you know? And so I think I loved that where it's like, can and should we do it all? No, because we actually need other people to actually do it all with us.
Yeah.
And so then we make the decision to be really interconnected and be in community where that happens. And so if I'm exhausted and I can't do it, then I know I've got my girls and my people that are going to kind of like help and carry me. But
That's
we're
what
hard on
we're doing,
ourselves.
right?
Yeah.
Right here,
we
sharing
try
the
to do
load.
it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as moms and wives, like you do carry a lot.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you have the children's, lives to carry as well. So it's a lot.
What I'm hearing is that we're probably on the same page as Cheryl and with the fine print. Yeah, absolutely, because these are things that God has called into our lives. But then the confusion is all the other stuff.
Yeah. I say it all the time. I don't want just what's the good thing. I want the God thing, right?
Yeah.
Difference.
Yeah.
And I think the Sabbath, that's key. Because we
Yeah.
don't. We don't do Sabbath well.
was good, Joanna.
And then we feel guilty if we do take time. This is the other thing. When that does come up, it's interesting. A lot of women go, but I don't have time to take a rest. Like, I've got to work and there's a lot of demands. But the thing is, I'm realizing is that when you do take the rest and you have, you've set yourself up for that kind of peace and rest in your soul, you can actually give out
We're
more.
so much
You can actually
better
do
for
more
it. We're
right.
so
Yeah.
much better for it.
versus from
Absolutely.
exhaustion.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good learning.
Yeah.
Take Sabbath.
Yeah. Well, you have to work harder on 6 days to take 1 day
Right.
off.
Right.
It changes not just 1 day, it changes your whole week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, I'm really thankful for your thoughts. I'm going to actually take this. I'm going to send this link to my girlfriends and then tell them to watch it. And then it'll be like a little Bible study. And then we're going to have dinner and discuss what you guys say. So that's, I think, what everybody should do. And so I think what you just said really encourages today our viewers and listeners. Well, we asked a number of our past guests on See Hear Love, Bob Goff, Liz Curtis-Higgs, John Tyson, Monica Prescott, the Gather Voices, and women from SSU and the Maritimes, this same question. So let's listen to their great advice on can and should women do it all. And I want to know from a man's perspective your thoughts about a woman's role, and can we or should we do it all, and how do we do it well?
Yeah, it kind of depends on the version of all, but the first thing that came to mind was Ephesians 4, to live a life worthy of the calling you've received. Like, what is it that you're called to do? And I know we're called to be available. We're not always called to do all the things that we're being asked to do. And so even though you might have a capability of doing something, like I'm a lawyer and licensed in lots of states, but while I'm capable of doing that, I don't feel called to do that. And so what I think women are called to do is to raise their voice. I think we need to hear your voices. And we've spent a lot of time having other people with a microphone. I want to have 2 years where we just give the microphone to the women. Just say, you do the talking. We'll just try it for 2 years. I'll tell you what will happen at the end of 2 years. We'll never go back. And so what I want to do is hear these voices. If you have something to say, like say that. If you want to say it in writing, if you're like my wife, Sweet Maria Goff, she's kind of shy. And so, well, not kind of, she's like way shy. But she found a way to express her thoughts in words. And so find a safe way to communicate what's going on, because otherwise we're reading every other page of the Bible.
Right.
So find your voice and let's hear it. But not with militants, but with love and resolve.
And what's the role of men for this? Because women are rallying together in Canada and the U.S., lots of women's groups saying, okay, we're going to rise up and have a voice. But what do you think the role of men is
Yeah, I
for
got
this?
4 words. Get out of the way. That's 5. We're trying to empower women. I think we just need to get out of their way. So all the gals at work that I have the privilege to work side by side with, they're so busy doing impossible things, they don't have time for conversations. They're just like, let's get her done.
And it's going to take all of us, men and women, to rise up, men and women, right?
Yeah.
For a world of love and grace and kindness together.
I think that's why there's so many of us, and it's going to take all of us to bring our gifts together to make this beautiful family that we're supposed to be.
It's such a good question. I want to answer it instead of as a woman, but as a human being, because I think it's distinctly a question that doesn't get asked of my husband. But as a human being, it is something that I am going to be continually working on, and certainly do not have nailed yet. But in a conversation I had with a good friend yesterday, we were talking about the importance of maintaining your focus on the thing that you're doing in that moment. So if I'm focusing on my work, I'm focusing on my work. If I'm having coffee with a girlfriend, I'm having coffee with her. And you know, it absolutely has gained me the reputation as somebody who doesn't text back immediately, but I'm okay with that.
My big question is, instead of me doing it all, what brings me life? What can I bring? Because I think as women, collectively,
Good.
yeah, we can do it all.
That is fantastic. So not just the pressure of me having to be all, do it all, be amazing at everything. Actually, that's the whole part of community, right? And
Yeah.
relationships of saying, I can do this, you can do this, and together collectively we can do it all.
And if we could
Beautiful.
switch our thinking to that, I just think the way that we shame other women would disappear, because then we would be their biggest champions when they're able to do what we can't.
You know, that's a big thing. One of our top shows on See Hear Love was championing of women versus shaming and being competitive. And that's
Yeah.
been a big discussion around, you know, we're supposed to be women who champion and cheer women
Yeah.
on, and when they get there, then we shame them and we're jealous of them. What is happening? So I think that fits right into that.
Yeah, me
Let's
too.
not shame, but together collectively, we can do it all.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you, Joy.
You're welcome.
I don't think women can do it all. I think women can do way more than our culture has given them permission or made space for, but I don't think anybody can do it all. You know, I think it's kind of idolatrous to feel like we can do whatever we want. We have no limits. Boundaries and limits provide space, they produce health, they create margin and those sorts of things. So I would say you can do more than you're really aware of, but you don't have to do all that you think you're aware of. And finding that tension between those two things, that's the key.
And what would you say if you say, you know, in that, where does God fit in all of that? How do I, you know, because that's one of the hardest things is saying, I have all these things very like tangibly in front of me, and then God seems to be the
Yeah,
least.
so I mean, so God's not in a hurry. Life is all about seasons. Be in the season you're in. Everything's a trade-off. Yeah, well, I want to have children. I'm missing out on my career. Yeah, but look at these children in front of you. What a gift. You'll never get these years again. What about my career? You just got to balance this stuff. So I always feel like in trying to do everything at once, we often don't do anything that well. Embrace the reality of seasons. Live in the season you're in. It's enough. You're enough. The season you're in is a gift. Try and learn the lessons God has for you while you're in it and enjoy it.
Okay, thanks so much.
Okay, no worries.
It's a very good question. I probably am, I don't know if I'm a good person about balance. I actually, even through my own life, like as a pastor for 27 years and juggling mom and pastor and life and all sorts of other things, it's definitely been a question that has come up over and over. And, you know, there's times where I hear all sorts of people say, well, you need to take it easy. You need to do this, you need to do this. And I think in my early years, I used to think of priorities as, you know, I got to have and I was raised in a Christian environment, raised in a family, like raised as a PK, and just kind of got to make sure God's first, and then your husband, and then your family, and all these other things, and then, you know, kind of more discovering the whole wheel of priorities. It's like our whole life. It's like God's at the hub, and then we've got all these different spokes that here's momhood, here's church, here's my personal life, here's my leisure, here's my health, here's my friendships, here's marriage, here's, you know, all the other wheels. And there's different times when one of those spokes is just like a wheel is going around. There's different times when the one spoke is at the top and it's more of a priority, and it kind of comes around, and learning how to put the weight on certain seasons of life. And I think that's been the thing that's helped me the most, is to think seasonally that certain seasons require me to do it all. That's just the way it is.
I think that we as women are a lot stronger than we think, and that we can handle a lot more than we think we can. But then I would say on the flip side, I think that we need to recognize seasons of our life. And I think of Proverbs 31, that the woman at the end of the book, we kind of give her a bad time. You know, if she were to walk in the room, I think we'd be like, how am I ever going to do that?
Yeah.
But you need to realize, we need to realize that is honoring a woman who's done many things over many years. And so to start to trust, I think, trust the Holy Spirit for what season you're in, and to not try to squish it all in, but to recognize your season, I think is really important.
That's a good point, because I think for women, we want to just do it all at the same time.
Right.
Then we get burnt out, we get overwhelmed, and you're saying it's seasons.
I think so. Otherwise you can feel like a failure. And so I actually heard an author once say, you need to choose to bomb something sometimes. If you have pressures coming at you,
I don't know if I want to do that.
you know, if you have a busy season, you just have to make priorities. If you're going to say yes to something, it means you're going to have to say no to something else.
Ooh, that's good. I like that. Caitlin, what about you?
For myself, I think the better that I understand an integrated life and a God who sees a whole when he looks at my life, the more free that I feel from that pressure to do everything. Yeah. And just the idea that everything that I do, from social to relational, church things, work things, family things, they're not compartmentalized, and God doesn't see them as fragmented, broken pieces, which they can feel because we tend to compartmentalize. And so really to just wake up in the morning and give him the whole picture as one big worship act, you know, and trust him with all of that. That picture to me brings a lot of peace and wholeness when faced with that challenge.
That's good. Bonnie?
Well, it says in John 15, I love that, because Jesus is talking to the disciples and he says, abide in me and you will bear fruit. And so I think of sometimes, and the Lord showed me this, is that if I am the vine, or the branch, right, he's the vine, and I hold on to him, and then all this fruit's coming out from me, sometimes we just get so fixated on the fruit, and it's kind of like almost a good thing, because you're like, I'm trying to show love, I'm trying to be patient, I'm trying to even be productive of the dreams that are inside of me. But sometimes all we need to do is just the turning of the head, and suddenly we find life again. Right. And it's not to stop the flow of fruit, but it's just to emphasize on that relationship. And that's just it's actually a beautiful thing, is that we'll always seek to please the one to whom we are attached to, the one that we're connected to. And so then our productivity comes from a place of relationship.
Excellent.
Yeah, but here's the fun thing about this question.
Okay.
We've been asking this question for 40 years. See, each generation comes to that same realization of, I cannot do it all. But if you talk to a woman in her 40s, she's going to say, well, I can't do it all either. And a woman in her 50s say, well, I definitely can't do it all. And I'm a woman in her 60s who tried to do it all in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Would you please set yourself free from the I have to do it all? And even more than that, I have to do it all perfectly. See, I think that's where we really get into trouble. My deal is, let's just be present in this moment. Can I be all present, doing my best right now? So right now, I am being a lousy mother. You with me? Because I'm not even thinking about my kids. Of course, they're 29 and 31. They're taking care of themselves. But in other words, for this moment, right now, all I'm thinking about is you, your viewers, your listeners, and your question. That's it. So I want to serve that moment, hoping God will get the glory for it. But that's it. That's all I have to do. Now, when the camera's turned off, I'll have another responsibility. And then later I'll have something else. But you take each thing in front of you, do it to the best of your ability, and let it go. You are never going to be able to balance. It's a fallacy that it's possible. And those girls that look like they are, don't believe it for a minute.
No. So be present, because I think, and I think I'm guilty. I'm always zing, 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 thinking.
Next.
And then I don't do a lot of things really well, because I'm kind of doing it, sort of partially and that. And you're saying be present.
Yeah, do this one thing really well. Be fully in.
So you can prioritize. A balance isn't probably the right word. You can prioritize, like you're saying.
Can't even really do that. You just have to be where you are. I'm sorry to make this so simple.
I know, I'm like trying to make something more, but I love that.
Well, you'll find at the end of the day that all those moments add up to a pretty good day.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. I feel a lot better.
Excellent.
And now
that
I'm
was
going
the
to be
goal.
more present as we go forward.
Yep.
Thanks, Liz. I can't believe we got all of our guests answering this question.
That's amazing.
And many said the same thing. Seasons, can't do everything. They also said be present, and one of them says you don't always have to text back.
I love it.
It's not good. That just releases a lot of things. Well, I want to end the show with a verse from the Good Word, and I love it because things change. We end season 4, and people change, our bodies change. There's been a lot of change. Yeah. But one thing stays the same, and I love that in the verse in Hebrews 13:8, where it says, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday and today and forever, no matter what happens in our lives.
Yeah,
Isn't that encouraging?
So
It really is.
Is that a great
Comforting,
verse?
comforting.
It is. Talk to me about that, because I think as we're going through different seasons and ending a season, coming into a new season, and we're looking at all of these things in our lives that keep us busy, why is that verse so important for us to know and remember today?
Yeah, like life happens, you know. We go through a lot of like devastating things in our lifetime, and just to be reminded that Jesus is the same in that season. You know, he loves you the same, he is for you the same, he's with you the same as he was before that season, and like a better season maybe. It's just so comforting to know that like, he's the same yesterday, today, and forever.
I love that.
There's a centeredness to that idea,
Yeah.
steadfastness. And I think that also encourages us because, again, we're so used to people's opinions and circumstances changing and changing us, whereas he's not affected by these things. He's beyond that. And so that's who we rely on, not the circumstances, not the people, but rather him. That is going to be our anchor.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I find it to be one of the most tethering verses. It grounds me because when things are changing and not safe and solid, we can't give our all to anything. And you'll know that when you're not feeling, you just can't give your all. With God, you can give your all. You can pour out and know that He's got you, and it gives you the best point of reference. Like you said, if He's done it before, whatever that is, He is faithful to do it again. Yeah.
I love
So if
it.
we say Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever and tomorrow, like who is Jesus? So I pulled some of the words that describe who Jesus is out of Scripture. It says, He is your friend, He is your brother, He's your Savior, He's your King, He's your servant, He's a teacher, He's light and truth and the way. He's the Word made flesh and blood. He's the beginning and the end. He's the bridegroom, He's the good shepherd, He's the high priest, He's the head of the church. He's your creator, He's the resurrection, He is the way, the victorious one. He is wonderful counselor, mighty God, everlasting Father.
Oh, I
Prince
just
of
chills.
Hallelujah.
You know,
Yes,
people,
I got chills.
Like if people don't know him,
Yeah.
we want to invite. That's what this show's all about, right? We want to invite people to know this Jesus. If you don't have him in your life, why not today?
Yeah.
Why not invite him to just say, if you're real, come show yourself to me, God. Jesus, if this is who you are, these words describe you, I want to know that kind of a God. And if you are the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow, then can I maybe trust you with my tomorrow?
Yeah, it's
And to know that
beautiful.
whatever you're lacking in this moment,
Right.
He is that thing.
That's right.
And isn't that perfect when we're saying, can and should I do it all? And this life is hard and it's busy and it's disappointing and we don't do it well.
Right.
Even as Jesus followers, we don't do it well all the time. But knowing who He is, that is so comforting. You know, Joe, we need to put that definitely up on our blog and put that up so that people can actually read those words and say them out loud.
I think there's like more than 50. I didn't read them all. But He is so good. And that's what I hope this whole season, that's my heart, you know, bringing Bible verses every week. We hope that people would know the goodness of God.
Thank you. Well, thank you for a great season. Wonderful time together. It's going to be great. Have a great summer. It's going to be good, I know, and get that Sabbath in there. So proud of you and all that
Almost
we've
want to do a
accomplished.
group hug,
I know. All that we've accomplished in this past season 4. Thanks for a great time together. And for you, our TV viewers, our podcast listeners, and radio listeners, we'll be featuring our summer series of your favorite past shows that you loved over the next few weeks. And for our online viewers, check out our past episodes at seeherlove.com that you might have missed so you can get caught up before we launch into season 5. And over the summer, we'll be featuring never-seen interviews and behind-the-scenes pictures, blogs, and giveaways on our Instagram and Facebook pages. It's going to be a fun time. And as we say goodbye to season 4 and head into season 5 in the fall, through all your travel and rest and vacations and work and time with family and friends and all that you do, know that you are seen, heard, and deeply loved by God. Bye-bye. Deeks Insurance is a proud sponsor of the See Here Love Studio.